Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about presenting a paper in the conference. Presenting a paper in the conference is a challenge for two reasons. First and foremost is that you are facing people. But the second important challenge is the time management. In conferences, we are given too short time to present our paper, and if we are not successful in time management, it finally affects our confidence level and quality of our presentation. In this short lecture, I am going to share some guidelines about how to prepare the conference presentation. Before preparing the conference presentation, let's see what kind of problems we usually face while presenting in a conference. There are three most common problems that presenters may face while presenting. First of them is to face technical issues such as audio video issues, slideshow problems, etc. However, this is not your business. Conference organizers usually take this responsibility and they make sure that you don't have any problem. That is why conference organizers usually don't like that people use their own laptops in the conference room. Second problem is related to the time spent on very first slides. The very first slides are usually related to authors and topic introduction and literature review stuff. And generally presenters think that this is something very important to tell, and they keep on telling about literature and other readings, etc. They spend too much time on these slides, and that actually causes a problem. Third problem, that is actually the result of the second problem when you are spending too much time on the first slides. The third problem is that you left with very few minutes and there are several important slides that you must present. In fact, these are the slides that actually tells about what you did, how you did, what you found, and why it happened. Consequently, you lose your confidence in trying to rush through these important slides. And then in the end, you either face an awkward situation, kind of awkward silence during question answer session, or you did not get proper feedback, as you have not conveyed well enough to get feedback. To overcome these issues, there are a couple of things that you must consider and that we are going to discuss in this lecture. Let's think about why we are presenting in the conference. So this is a big question actually. So why we are presenting in the conference? Generally, we present our preliminary findings of our research or a final draft of our study in a conference. In both cases, the primary objective is to get invaluable feedback from the professionals and the audience to refine and revise our study and improve its quality. For this purpose, we must emphasize the content of our research that we want to present to seek feedback, and a plan through which we can present all what we want in the designated time. Now, I will talk about managing our content on the slides in limited time. Usually, presenters are given 10 minutes in the conference to present their paper. In this limited time, we are interested to showcase our research. Hence, if I have to present my qualitative research in a conference, I will emphasize on the following sections of my paper to be presented on the slides. In this limited time of 10 minutes only, I should focus on the major components of my research. I will be precise and specific. So what I am doing, I am planning to talk about my problem statement. Well, you can say an introduction of my study, telling the problem statement and objectives of the study, and then the research questions, then theoretical framework of your study, very important, and then the method section and the findings, followed by the discussions and the conclusions. So these are some main or major sections of your presentations. As I am interested in getting feedback from the audience, I may like to provide a little bit detail of the sections where I am struggling or looking for comments to make it a kind of good piece of publishable research. In any case, in qualitative research, theoretical framework and method section, they are very crucial. About theoretical background, well, I usually think, and very often I advise to my students, that the theoretical framework is the backbone of your discussion section, whereas the method section is a backbone of the validation of your findings. If I am presenting my qualitative research in some conference, I will be very keen to get feedback on theory section, such as is my theoretical framework plausible according to my research question? Is it providing logical connections and interconnections about what I am trying to investigate? And yes, to make my theoretical understanding more visible, I can present a kind of conceptual map or illustrations of my study on the slide where I am presenting my theoretical background. So, three components on this slide you must emphasize: conceptual map, plausibility of your theoretical understanding, and the logical connections that you made with the theory. Similarly, in the method section, I will be interested about my sampling technique. Is it addressing the exclusion criteria? And am I telling the access to the participant? My data collection method is presented well in terms of how I prepared my data collection tool, such as my interview guide, and how did I validate it, and the process of analysis. Am I able to describe my process of analysis in consecutive steps towards reportable findings? What sort of validation techniques I use to ensure the accuracy of my data and its analysis at every step? And finally, presentation of findings and the way these findings are discussed is important. So these two slides, theoretical framework and the method, they are very important to discuss precisely but very clearly, because these two slides are going to help you and the audience about your findings and discussions. Coming towards the findings, remember, findings must be presented in a way that they can remind the audience about your research questions. In other words, your research questions are well targeting the findings you are presenting. I will not suggest to put a lot of description on the slides while presenting findings. Well, you can enlist significant findings, you can draw tables about themes and sub-themes and related significant statements. Here, significant statements means evidence from the data, so to say, verbatims. Important is whatever that you are showing, unless it is corresponding. It is important if it is corresponding to your research questions. So these slides, maybe you are using 2, 3, or 4 slides of findings, but make sure that these slides are well directing towards your research questions. About discussion, well, don't repeat descriptive kind of stuff related to the findings here. You must believe that you have already described the findings and that have provided the descriptive answers of your research question. Discussion is more about the interpretation and analysis of your findings. In discussion, audience will like to know how you theoretically and conceptually grasp your own findings, how you are using your theoretical framework to explain these findings. They want to see how do you situate and constitute the constructs that you have found. So the constructs that you have found, discovered, inducted or deducted, whatever, from your findings, you must be able to situate and constitute them here on these slides. Discussion slide is very narrowly focused on theoretical explanation of your findings. Remember the why and how of your study. Why and how of your study. That will produce a conceptual discussion. Of course, based on your findings, you can suggest a model, an illustration, or that may present your logical connections of your findings and your theoretical understanding. So your discussion must be very fruitful in the end. Finally, you will end up with conclusions. Here, just tell brief and precise answers to your search questions, and also lead the audience towards the implications or future orientation of your research. You can also you can also ask here specific feedback that you are looking for. So this should be the last. In next slides, I am providing some tips on or suggestions to prepare your presentation. Take notes. It is very useful to have important notes regarding different parts of your presentation that you want to focus. Remember, you cannot do slide reading. That means you are not going to place paragraphs on your slides to read out. So have a notebook with important points that you have categorized according to your slides 1, 2, 3, etc. So these notes will be helpful when you are answering the questions or when you are discussing your slides in the presentation. Introduce yourself. On your first slide, that is supposed to be a title slide as well, introduce the title of the study and all the authors with their names and affiliation. Clearly tell about who is presenting the paper. Do not provide extra details about you or other authors, because then you are actually wasting your time. Be loud and clear. This is kind of a key skill or key thing that you must remember. There are devices to amplify your voice. Yes, there are. You are talking into a microphone or whatever. There are devices to amplify your voice, since it is very important that you hear yourself very well and loud. If you have already practiced to spend your limited time perfectly, you don't need to rush and have a smooth and clear voice. Breathing exercise. Before you are going to face the audience, inhale a deep breath, hold it for a few seconds, and then slowly exhale, such as inhale a deep breath, hold it few seconds, and then slowly exhale. So you will do it for 3 to 4, 5 times, and it will help you to manage your nervous system. Similarly, sometimes we're trying to finish the slides and do not breathe while presenting. Breathe well while presenting. Don't rush. This is not good. You can and you should have proper breathing while presenting. Again, if you're well planned about the time and you know your slides very well, don't need to rush. After every slide or after describing a point, have a comfortable normal breath. Remember, you are here at the conference because your paper was accepted. It means you are an accepted person and people want to hear about your work. They are interested in your study. Don't be afraid to face them. They are all there for you, and they know that whatever you are going to present, you know best about it, because you are the author, you are the researcher. Have your face towards the audience. Keep them directing to your slides with your pointer while explaining important points. It is not a bad idea at all to leave the rostrum for a while and present yourself before the audience once for a while, and showing them that you own your work. Don't be afraid of the comments, criticism, questions. You are here for some purpose, as I described earlier. Art of making things visible. Yes, if we say that a presentation is an art, that will not be wrong. Your slides does not carry the text or tables you want to present, but these slides have the power to attract the audience and making your work visible. Audience is not only hearing you, but also looking at the text, table, figures, illustrations on your slides. A conference paper presentation should not be fancy like presenting a movie or some cultural activity, but at the same time, it should not be simple like the pages of a book. This is an art. Your text must be big enough that all the audience can read it comfortably. The slides should not be overloaded with the text. Audience feel more comfortable reading text in points instead of paragraphs. They are comfortable looking at an illustration or something such as a conceptual map or some diagram or figure. Dark backgrounds are not recommended for a conference paper presentation. Use images, clip arts, and other shapes or smart art features of the PowerPoint that will help your slides to be visible, loud, and clear. Last but not the least, remember you are showcasing your research. You are in charge. You are a director, a writer, and an actor presenting what you have done. Expect the audience, the questions, the disagreements, the suggestions, even you don't agree with them, and most of all, the fun you feel. Yes, I did it. Take the fun of being presenter and the experience you are going to have as for granted, right? Because this is it. This is supposed to be happen like that. No matter how many things you have been facing the public in a lecture or in a presentation, stage is always set like that. You must take the fun and the experience for granted. Take it and enjoy it.